The sky above the ruined city was a dull shade of gray, streaked with dark clouds that hinted at a storm. Broken towers jutted into the air like jagged teeth, their glass and metal surfaces shattered, reflecting shards of light that danced across the dusty streets. The wind carried whispers of destruction, and the empty streets seemed to stretch forever, a labyrinth of debris and forgotten memories. Among the ruins, a lone figure moved with quiet urgency, her footsteps careful but swift, avoiding the twisted metal and scattered rubble. Kayla had learned long ago that running recklessly could be fatal. She had to survive, and she had to remain unseen. Her heart pounded with fear and determination. She could feel it stirring again beneath her skin, a warmth in her chest that prickled her nerves, a pulse that seemed to echo in her very bones. Her power, her gift, had been a secret until now, one she barely understood herself. When it awakened, she had no control over it, and the consequences could be catastrophic. Sometimes it came in small flashes, barely noticeable, but other times it surged violently, leaving destruction in its wake. Kayla's visions haunted her, images of cities burning, of people falling, of entire worlds reduced to ashes, all tied somehow to her. She had tried to bury the fear, tried to ignore it, but the world had other plans. The sound of movement behind her made her freeze. Her sharp ears picked up the faint rustle of something alive, a presence not entirely human. She ducked behind a collapsed wall, pressing her back against the cold concrete and holding her breath. The alien hunters were relentless, and they never missed a chance to track anyone with psychic potential. Kayla had been running for days, moving from one ruined district to another, never stopping long enough to rest. She knew that if they caught her, it would be the end, not just for her, but for anyone foolish enough to try to protect her. A shadow fell across the street, long and heavy, moving with deliberate precision. Kayla's stomach dropped. The hunter was close, closer than she had anticipated. She could feel its presence, alien and cold, probing for any trace of her energy. Her pulse quickened and the warmth in her chest flared, a warning she could not ignore. She had to act, but acting meant risking exposure, risking the very power she had tried to control. The hunter's footsteps echoed through the empty streets, each one a countdown to discovery. Then it happened. A flash of instinct, a surge of raw energy she could no longer contain. The air around her seemed to shimmer, a pulse radiating from her chest that pushed against the world itself. The hunter froze mid-step, eyes wide in surprise, and a sharp hiss escaped its throat as the force slammed into it. Kayla stumbled back, her hands trembling, heart racing as she realized what had just happened. She had never used her power like this, never deliberately. And yet here it was, an unrestrained display of something dangerous, something magnificent. Before she could comprehend it fully, a voice rang out from the shadows, clear and commanding. "Kayla!" The name cut through the chaos, steady and urgent. She turned to see a figure emerging from a narrow alleyway, a human moving with purpose. The man was tall, with broad shoulders and an expression of resolve that made her momentarily forget her fear. His eyes were sharp, scanning the area quickly, calculating. "Come with me." "Now," he said, extending a hand. Kayla hesitated, doubt and caution warring with instinct. But she had no choice. She grasped his hand, and together they darted into the maze of broken streets, weaving through the ruins with a speed that belied the weight of their fear. The man introduced himself as Ryan, a commander of a hidden human resistance. His team had been tracking her for days, recognizing the potential in her, the dangerous and powerful gift that she carried. Kayla felt a mix of awe and terror. These people, humans, were her only chance at survival, yet she did not know if she could trust them completely. Every step she took was a test of her judgment, every glance over her shoulder a reminder of the hunters closing in. The wind howled through the empty city, carrying with it a chorus of broken metal and distant screams, and Kayla felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Her power could save the world or destroy it entirely. As they moved, Ryan explained what little they knew about the aliens hunting her. They were precise, ruthless, and nearly unstoppable. They had developed technology specifically designed to detect psychic energy, and anyone showing potential was either captured or eliminated. Kayla's gift marked her, a beacon to these hunters, and she was running out of places to hide. Ryan's team had set up a temporary safe house on the outskirts of the city, a place where she could rest and begin to understand her abilities under guidance. Kayla listened intently, trying to absorb everything without letting fear overwhelm her. The journey was treacherous. They navigated collapsed bridges, dodged patrolling drones, and slipped through abandoned buildings where shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. Kayla's senses were on high alert, every sound amplified, every flicker of movement a potential threat. The city was alive with danger, yet there was a strange beauty in the decay, a reminder of what humans could create and what they could lose. She felt a flicker of hope, fragile and fleeting, that perhaps they could survive this, that perhaps she could learn to control the power she feared so deeply. When they finally reached the safe house, a dilapidated structure hidden among the crumbling ruins, Kayla allowed herself a moment to breathe. The building was small, fortified with scavenged metal and reinforced concrete, but it offered a sense of security she hadn't felt in days. Inside, the human team gathered around, faces filled with curiosity, concern, and cautious hope. Ryan introduced her to the others, engineers, fighters, and scholars who had survived the alien occupation through ingenuity, courage, and sheer determination. Each one carried their own scars, physical and emotional, a testament to the resilience of humanity. Kayla felt an unexpected warmth in their presence, a connection that was unfamiliar but comforting. She realized that humans, even in their fragility, possessed something extraordinary: intelligence, courage, and the will to fight against impossible odds. It was these qualities, combined with her power, that could turn the tide of the war. Yet the weight of the responsibility pressed down on her chest. She could feel the pulse of her ability, a living thing inside her, waiting for a moment to surge again. She had to learn control or risk catastrophe. Ryan guided her to a quiet room, away from the others, and spoke with a tone of both authority and reassurance. "Kayla, your power is incredible, but it's also dangerous. You can save lives, even entire colonies, but you must learn to master it. The aliens are relentless, and every day they are closing in. If you do not control it, no one will survive." Kayla nodded, fear and determination mingling in her chest. She had always been alone, running from a world that didn't understand her. Now, for the first time, she had allies who believed in her, not just as a weapon, but as a person. As night fell over the ruins, the safe house shrouded in darkness, Kayla sat quietly, focusing on the rhythm of her breathing. She reached out with her senses, feeling the pulse of energy that connected her to the world around her. It was fragile, unsteady, but it was hers. She began to experiment, small bursts, careful not to let it overwhelm her. The walls around her seemed to hum in response, a subtle reminder of the power she held within. Suddenly, a sharp alarm pierced the air. Sensors around the safe house detected movement. Aliens were nearby. Kayla's heart leapt, adrenaline surging through her veins. She had been warned that this day would come, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of it. The hunters were close, and there was no time for hesitation. Ryan and the team moved quickly, preparing defenses and coordinating escape routes. Kayla felt the pulse inside her strengthen, reacting to the danger, and she realized that she could not remain passive. She had to act to protect these humans who had shown her trust and hope. The first wave of attackers broke through the outer perimeter, alien figures moving with precision, their weapons advanced and deadly. Kayla's instincts took over. She extended her hands, focusing on the energy within her, feeling it respond to her intent. A pulse of light surged outward, knocking the attackers back and scattering debris across the courtyard. The humans behind her cheered, but Kayla felt a twinge of fear. She had barely restrained the force, and already it had left marks of destruction. She could feel it straining against her control, demanding release, craving more. Ryan shouted instructions, guiding the team as they fought alongside Kayla, combining human strategy with her unpredictable power. Together, they formed a seamless defense, a testament to the strength of human ingenuity paired with extraordinary ability. The aliens faltered, momentarily surprised by the unexpected resistance. Kayla felt a rush of exhilaration, not just from the power itself, but from the unity, from the sense that she was part of something larger than herself. By dawn, the attackers were repelled, and the safe house, though battered, remained standing. Kayla's hands shook from exertion, sweat clinging to her skin, and yet she felt a spark of pride. She had acted, controlled the surge enough to protect others, and survived. The team gathered around her, expressions a mix of awe, relief, and cautious optimism. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying and grounding her. You are stronger than you realize, Kayla, and so are we. Together we can face what comes next. As the first light of day broke through the clouds, painting the ruins in shades of gold and gray, Kayla looked out over the shattered city. She could see the distant movements of alien scouts, reminders that the hunt was far from over. Yet for the first time, she did not feel alone. She had allies, strategy, and the growing realization that humanity itself, clever and resilient, could face impossible odds and prevail. Her power was a tool, a force that could save worlds if wielded wisely. And she was ready, at least for now, to begin learning how to master it. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of distant fires and alien machinery. Kayla's pulse quickened, a reminder that this was only the beginning. The shadows would hunt again, but she would not face them alone. Humanity had her, and she had them. Together, they were more than survival. They were the spark of hope, a pulse of resilience in a galaxy that had underestimated the strength of human spirit. Kayla woke to the hum of the safe house. The early morning light filtered through the cracked windows, casting long streaks across the concrete floor. Her body ached from the battle the day before, but her mind was restless. She could still feel the pulse of energy in her veins, a persistent reminder that her power was alive and waiting. Each breath she took made her senses tingle, and every sound, the creak of the floorboards, the soft footsteps of her companions, felt sharper than normal. She had survived the first attack, but the victory was fragile, and she knew the hunters would return. They always did. Ryan found her sitting in the corner of the main room, knees drawn to her chest. He crouched beside her, calm and steady, offering a quiet presence that contrasted with the storm in her mind. "You did well yesterday," he said. "Better than anyone could have expected." Kayla shook her head. "I didn't control it. I barely kept it from destroying everything." "What if next time I fail?" Her voice was barely more than a whisper, tinged with fear and frustration. "You won't fail," Ryan said firmly. "Not if we work together. Your power is strong, yes, but so are we. You just need to trust yourself and trust humans to have your back." His words were simple, but they carried weight. Kayla had spent most of her life alone, running, hiding, fearing what she could do. Trust was foreign, even uncomfortable, yet Ryan's certainty offered a small thread of hope. For the first time, she considered the possibility that she could belong, even in this fractured and dangerous world. The morning passed with quiet preparation. The resistance team repaired the safe house defenses, gathered supplies, and reviewed the maps of the city ruins. Kayla watched and listened, absorbing the humans' methods, their careful coordination, and the way they anticipated danger. She noticed something extraordinary in their behavior. Despite fear, loss, and exhaustion, they were creative, clever, and disciplined. Every action was deliberate, every decision tactical. They improvised when necessary, and when their plans failed, they adapted quickly. For all their fragility, they embodied the essence of human resilience, a quality she had underestimated until now. Ryan called the team together. "We can't stay here," he said. "The hunters will not stop. They are tracking Kayla's energy signature, and every day we delay, the risk grows." He pointed to the maps, marking a route toward an abandoned human outpost several kilometers away, beyond the city's core. It was exposed, dangerous, but it offered the possibility of regrouping and learning more about Kayla's abilities under safer conditions. "We move at night. We use shadows and cover. Kayla, you will lead when necessary, using your power carefully to guide us. Can you do that?" Kayla nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. Leading meant responsibility, and responsibility meant risk. But she felt something shift inside her, a tentative confidence she hadn't known before. For the first time, she was not just a survivor, she was a participant, a contributor. The pulse in her chest seemed to respond, stronger, steadier. Night fell quickly, and the safe house emptied into the darkness. The streets were quiet, but Kayla knew better than to trust silence. Shadows stretched across broken buildings, and the wind carried distant mechanical sounds, reminders that the hunters were never far behind. Kayla's senses tingled with anticipation and unease as she guided the team through narrow alleys, across crumbled bridges, and past ruined plazas. She focused on small pulses of energy, subtle shifts that helped her anticipate threats before they appeared. Her control was not perfect, but it was improving. Halfway through their journey, they encountered the first real challenge. A patrol of alien drones hovered ahead, scanning for psychic signatures. The humans froze, but Kayla stepped forward, taking a deep breath and centering herself. She extended a subtle pulse of energy, just enough to create a distortion in the drone's sensors. Their instruments flickered, and for a tense moment, it seemed the hunters might detect the resistance team. Then, almost imperceptibly, the drones passed by, unaware of the humans moving in silence. The team breathed a quiet sigh of relief. Ryan smiled at her, a hint of pride in his eyes. "You did that without risking a surge. Well done." Kayla felt a surge of gratitude and determination. Each success built her confidence, each small victory reinforcing her belief that her power, when combined with human ingenuity, could change the odds in their favor. As they neared the abandoned outpost, the landscape shifted. The city gave way to a wide, barren plain, dotted with ruins of older human colonies. The wind carried the scent of ash and scorched metal, remnants of past conflicts. Kayla could sense the energy of the land, faint traces of psychic residuals from battles long ago. She realized that her abilities allowed her to perceive things humans could not, to read the echoes of past events, and to anticipate danger in ways that no technology could replicate. The outpost appeared as a skeletal structure on the horizon, partially collapsed but still defensible. The team approached cautiously, scanning for traps and hidden dangers. Kayla felt a strange resonance here, subtle but present, as if the land itself acknowledged her presence. She slowed, reaching out with her senses, guiding the humans toward a safe entrance. For a moment, she allowed herself to feel calm, even hopeful. This was the first place she could imagine as temporary sanctuary, a place to rest, learn, and plan. Inside, the outpost was a mixture of decay and remnants of human ingenuity. Workstations lined the walls, some still functional, others damaged beyond repair. Old data terminals flickered faintly, storing memories of past operations. Kayla walked among them, tracing her fingers over the consoles, sensing the echoes of human thought and strategy embedded in the systems. She marveled at the human capacity for creativity, even in the face of inevitable decay and loss. It reminded her of what Ryan had said. Human ingenuity and perseverance were forces to be reckoned with, and combined with her abilities, they could become unstoppable. Days passed as Kayla trained, guided by Ryan and the others. Each exercise tested her control, precision, and endurance. She learned to extend her awareness without losing herself, to focus bursts of power without letting them overwhelm her, and to synchronize her abilities with human tactics. The team practiced stealth maneuvers, coordinated attacks, and rapid responses to hypothetical threats. Kayla began to see a pattern in her power, understanding its rhythm, its pulse, and how it could complement human strategy. The outpost was not without danger. Alien scouts occasionally probed the perimeter, forcing the team to remain vigilant. Kayla discovered that she could sense these intrusions before they arrived, giving the humans a precious advantage. Each time she succeeded, the bond between her and the team strengthened. Trust, once foreign and tentative, began to grow. She realized that humans, despite their weaknesses and limitations, had a resilience that machines and aliens could not predict. They adapted, learned, and persevered, qualities that complemented her psychic abilities in ways that felt almost symbiotic. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of red and orange, Kayla experienced her first real breakthrough. She focused on a simple exercise, sensing the energy of the outpost without interference, projecting a pulse that could extend across the surrounding plains. The sensation was overwhelming, a rush of warmth and awareness, yet she maintained control. The pulse expanded, interacting with the environment, highlighting potential dangers, mapping the terrain in a way that no scanner could. When she stopped, the humans stared in awe, realizing that her abilities could provide intelligence, defense, and strategy that exceeded any technology they possessed. But progress brought new challenges. The elite alien commander, obsessed with capturing Kayla alive, had begun tracking her more closely. Through the network of scouts and patrols, he anticipated human movements, adapting his strategies to counter Kayla's growing control. One night, alarms blared across the outpost as alien forces surrounded the perimeter. Kayla felt the surge of fear and anticipation, but also a sense of determination. She would not allow herself or the humans to be captured. She had come too far, learned too much, and found strength in unity and strategy. The battle that night tested everything Kayla had learned. Drones and soldiers advanced with relentless precision, but the humans, guided by Kayla's awareness and instincts, responded with clever traps, diversionary tactics, and coordinated strikes. Kayla extended her energy in measured pulses, disabling drones, creating barriers, and disorienting attackers. Her control was imperfect, but it was enough. The humans moved seamlessly with her abilities, executing maneuvers that combined raw psychic power with tactical intelligence. Hours passed in a blur of motion, strategy, and energy. Kayla pushed herself beyond limits, feeling exhaustion in every muscle, yet a growing sense of mastery in her mind. By dawn, the alien forces had been repelled, retreating with frustration and confusion. The outpost had survived, the humans had survived, and Kayla had survived. More importantly, she had begun to understand the true potential of her abilities, not just as a weapon, but as a tool for survival, strategy, and hope. As the team gathered to assess the aftermath, Kayla realized the weight of what lay ahead. The aliens were adapting, the threat was growing, and the galaxy itself seemed to sense the rising strength of humanity. Yet she also understood something vital. Humans, clever, resilient, and united, were capable of remarkable feats. Paired with her power, they could turn even the dire situations into opportunities for triumph. That night, Kayla sat alone on the outpost roof, looking at the stars scattered across the black sky. Each point of light represented distant worlds, human colonies, and the countless lives that could be saved or lost. She felt the pulse within her, steady now, no longer chaotic, no longer threatening to consume everything. It was a rhythm, a heartbeat in tune with the humans she had come to trust, and with the understanding that together they could face anything. The hunters would return, and new dangers would emerge, but for the first time, Kayla was ready. She would not run. She would fight, she would guide, and she would prove that humanity, clever and courageous, could overcome even the most advanced adversaries. The pulse of her power, once a threat and a mystery, had become a symbol of possibility, a beacon in the darkness. Kayla knew that the next challenge would come, more dangerous, more relentless, and more complex. But she was not alone, and she was no longer afraid. The journey ahead would test every skill, every instinct, every ounce of human ingenuity. And when the time came, Kayla would be ready, not as a lone survivor, but as a vital part of something greater, a force capable of shaping the fate of worlds. The stars above stretched endlessly across the black sky, each one a distant promise of life, struggle, and hope. Kayla stood on the edge of the outpost, her eyes scanning the horizon. The barren plains surrounding the abandoned structure had been quiet for days, but the stillness was misleading. She could sense it, the subtle shift in energy, the faint hum of alien technology approaching, calculated and precise. The hunters were returning, stronger, more determined, and this time they would not leave without her. Kayla's heart pounded, not with fear but with determination. She had trained, she had learned control, and she had allies who would fight beside her. Humanity, clever and resilient, had become her anchor, and she was ready to face whatever came next. Ryan approached silently, his presence steady and reassuring. "They're coming," he said simply. Kayla nodded, feeling the pulse of her power in response. The team had spent the past week preparing for this moment, fortifying the outpost, setting traps, and coordinating defensive maneuvers. Every human mind was a tool, every skill honed for survival, and every action synchronized with the rhythm of Kayla's ability. Together, they were more than the sum of their parts, a combination of human ingenuity and extraordinary power. As the first signs of movement appeared on the horizon, the team took their positions. Kayla extended her awareness, sensing the energy signatures of approaching forces. Dozens of drones hovered in the distance, followed by armored alien soldiers, moving with mechanical precision and deadly intent. The humans held their ground, their faces calm but alert. Kayla could feel their trust in her, a responsibility that pressed on her chest. She had to succeed, not just for herself, but for them, for the countless human colonies depending on her strength and strategy. The battle began with sudden intensity. Drones moved forward, scanning for any sign of psychic energy. Kayla focused, sending out a pulse that distorted their sensors, creating illusions that obscured human positions. The drones faltered, their precision disrupted, and the soldiers advanced cautiously, unsure of the terrain. The humans seized the moment, using traps, calculated strikes, and diversionary tactics to disorient the enemy. Kayla moved with them, her abilities an extension of their strategy, every pulse calculated, every surge controlled. Hours passed in a blur of motion, energy, and strategy. Kayla's control grew with each action, her power responding to the humans' needs and adapting to the chaos around her. She could feel the ebb and flow of the battle, anticipate threats before they appeared, and guide her allies through danger with almost prescient accuracy. The alien forces were relentless, but human ingenuity proved to be unpredictable, adaptive, and clever, traits the enemy had not accounted for. Each success bolstered Kayla's confidence, reinforcing the belief that her abilities could save not just the outpost, but the galaxy itself. The elite alien commander revealed himself as the battle reached its climax, a figure of menace and authority. He moved with a terrifying precision, anticipating Kayla's actions and countering them with advanced tactics. Every move he made tested her control, every strike a challenge to her focus. Yet Kayla felt a strange exhilaration. She had come too far, learned too much, and now she could measure herself against the greatest threat she had ever faced. The humans followed her guidance, their movements synchronized with her pulses, creating a symphony of defense and offense that pushed back the alien advance. The confrontation reached its peak when the commander unleashed a massive weapon, a pulse of energy capable of annihilating the outpost and everyone within miles. Kayla felt the surge in her chest, the familiar warmth of her power rising, demanding release. She knew that if she allowed it to erupt uncontrolled, she could destroy everything she fought to protect. Her mind raced, recalling every lesson, every controlled pulse, every instance of focus. The human's presence steadied her, their trust a reminder that she was not alone. With deliberate concentration, she extended her energy, shaping it, directing it, neutralizing the alien weapon without harming the outpost or her allies. The effort drained her, but it worked. The weapon collapsed harmlessly, leaving the commander shocked and vulnerable. With the elite commander momentarily incapacitated, Kayla led a coordinated counterattack. Humans and power moved as one, exploiting weaknesses in the enemy formation, striking with precision and efficiency. The aliens faltered, their numerical advantage diminished by the combination of psychic foresight and tactical ingenuity. Kayla extended her awareness further, guiding the humans through hidden passages, creating barriers of energy that deflected attacks, and projecting illusions that confused and scattered the enemy. The battle became a test of adaptability, creativity, and willpower, and humans proved to be capable of more than even the aliens had anticipated. As dawn broke, casting pale light over the plains, the alien forces began to retreat. The outpost had survived, the humans had survived, and Kayla had survived. She collapsed to the ground, exhausted but alive, her power ebbing into a steady rhythm that no longer threatened chaos. Around her, the humans cheered softly, expressions a mixture of awe, relief, and cautious triumph. Ryan knelt beside her, offering a hand and a proud smile. "You did it," he said. "We all did it." Together, Kayla nodded, feeling a deep sense of connection, of purpose, and of belonging. The aftermath of the battle revealed the true strength of humanity. Despite being outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched in technology, humans had prevailed through strategy, creativity, and collaboration. Kayla's abilities had amplified their strengths, and their ingenuity had guided her power. The aliens, recognizing this unexpected resilience, retreated to reconsider their approach. For the first time, humans had demonstrated not just survival, but dominance through intellect, courage, and unity. Kayla understood that her power was not the sole key to victory. It was the combination of human ingenuity and her abilities that created an unstoppable force. The team spent the following days repairing the outpost, tending to the wounded, and consolidating their gains. Kayla trained further, refining control, experimenting with new applications of her psychic energy, and learning to anticipate threats with precision. Each session strengthened not only her skill, but also her understanding of the humans around her. They were adaptable, clever, and courageous, qualities that made her realize that humanity itself was the ultimate force multiplier. Her power could be dangerous, yes, but in harmony with humans, it became a tool of hope and resilience. One evening, as Kayla watched the sun dip below the horizon, Ryan approached. "Kayla, the fight isn't over," he said. There are other colonies, other threats, but we've proven something important. Humans and your abilities together, they are a force even the aliens cannot predict. Kayla nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility once more. The galaxy was vast, the dangers endless, and her power alone was not enough. But with humans beside her, clever, resourceful, and determined, she believed they could face anything. The horizon glowed faintly, the first signs of a distant alien fleet moving into position. Kayla could sense it through her abilities, subtle vibrations in the energy around her. The threat was growing and the stakes were higher than ever, but she no longer felt fear alone. She felt confidence, focus, and a growing certainty that humanity's resilience could match any challenge. The pulse of her power had become steady, controlled, and purposeful, a reflection of the humans who had taught her to trust, to lead, and to fight together. As the night deepened, Kayla walked among the humans, observing their determination, their intelligence, and their capacity for courage. She realized that her journey was not just about mastering her abilities, but about learning from humans, their creativity, their adaptability, and their indomitable will. Each person in the team embodied a facet of humanity's strength, and together they were more than individuals. They were a force capable of shaping the future, of defending colonies, and of proving that human ingenuity could overcome even the most advanced threats. The alien commander, defeated but not destroyed, retreated to plot his next move. Kayla sensed his presence across the void of space, a shadow lingering with intent and malice. She did not fear him now. She had grown, learned, and found allies who complemented her abilities with strategy, courage, and determination. Humanity was not weak, and she was no longer alone. Together, they had faced impossible odds and survived. Together, they would face the future, a pulse of resilience and hope that no enemy could ignore. As Kayla looked up at the stars, she reflected on her journey, the fear, the uncertainty, the moments of uncontrolled power, and the hard-won lessons of trust and collaboration. She realized that her abilities were not a curse, but a tool amplified by human ingenuity and courage. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers yet unseen, but she no longer felt helpless. She had purpose, allies, and the understanding that humans, clever and adaptable, could rise to any challenge. The final hours before the next mission were quiet, filled with preparation, strategy, and anticipation. Kayla sat with the team, sharing stories, ideas, and plans for what lay ahead. She felt a deep connection to each person, understanding that their combined strengths made them formidable beyond measure. Her pulse, steady and strong, mirrored the confidence she felt in humanity itself. Together, they were more than survivors. They were a force that could shape the fate of worlds. When the alien fleet returned, Kayla would be ready. Her power, once uncontrolled and dangerous, was now a beacon of precision and purpose. Humans, once underestimated, were now a force to be reckoned with. The battle for the galaxy's future was far from over, but Kayla understood the truth. The greatest strength lay not in a single individual, but in the unity of human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. And with that strength, they could face any shadow, any enemy, and emerge victorious. As the first light of dawn broke across the plains, Kayla felt a sense of calm resolve. The pulse of her power harmonized with the rhythm of human determination. Together, they were unstoppable. Together, they would protect the colonies, face the hunters, and prove to the galaxy that humanity, clever and resilient, could achieve the impossible. The journey ahead would be long and dangerous, but Kayla no longer feared it. She had learned to trust, to fight, and to lead, and she had discovered the true pulse of humanity.